With penalty debates that raged on into the night, and welcome back to the famous 2011 edition. Let's talk a little bit about the 2025 edition of the Canadian Grand Prix. Starting off with the finish and that McLaren crash. It was so strange to see the McLarens coming together in an eerily similar situation to 2011. The difference was that the drivers at the time, Sir Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button, had a world championship each at that point. Another difference was they were in a pouring rain. A third difference was that Jenson Button got the penalty. Lando Norris in this case was issued a 5-second penalty after driving into the back of Oscar Piastri. Because the fourth difference is there was overlap in 2011. In 2025, Lando just drove into the back of Oscar. Now, it is a misjudgment. I don't know why he decided to go for the left. Usually the racing line tapers in such a way that you would go towards the left, then cut back. But hey, they'd done nearly 70 laps of racing at that point. So, to make one mistake, especially when you're trying to fight back because your teammate has just managed to do an amazing switchback down one of the longest straights on the calendar, it was incredibly impressive. It was an impressive move by Piastri to switch back, and you can understand why Lando was wanting to try and get back past. But in the end, it's a 12-point swing. It doesn't change too much. We'll talk about the title picture in a moment, but yeah. I think it's a bit of a shame for Lando, isn't it? But it overshadowed the fact that, well, we got two Mercedes on the podium. A win for George Russell, a first podium for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. It seems strange that it's Antonelli's first podium, but yeah, it is. And George Russell, I mean, the meme is does nothing P3. He didn't really need to do much to hold on to the win today. He just beat Verstappen off the start. Verstappen has not had the same kind of launch that he used to off the starts, and it's quite hard to figure out why that's the case this year. But yeah, Russell just drove off. The only thing of contention was that safety car thing, but Red Bull was making such a big deal out of it. I don't see too much of a difference between what happened under the safety car with Russell and what happened for the safety car restart with Piastri back in Spain. In fact, in both cases, Red Bull kicked up a lot of a fuss over what ended up, in the steward's office at least, looking like a bit of a nothing burger. That's at least my perspective on all of that. I think it was a deserving victory from George. I think well done by Max for getting that Red Bull up there, given that the next highest Honda powertrain was his teammate Yuki Tsunoda in 12th. And given that in the top 10 we had, wow, a Mercedes first, a Mercedes third, a Mercedes powered car fourth, as well as 7th and 10th. I think one thing that we should talk about, though, is Ferrari's form. Because, well, I mean, Lewis Hamilton had a really unlucky time. He had a chance encounter, an unfortunate encounter in the end with a groundhog that damaged the floor of the car. Charles Leclerc was a bit more competitive, was on a different sort of strategy to some people around him, but at the same time wasn't able to fully capitalise. I don't get why there is so much pressure on Fred Vasseur at the moment, but then it is Ferrari. It's a bit like a football team in a way, right? Ferrari has that kind of Chelsea or Tottenham about them, right? Where if you don't win within like a year or two, it's out the door for you. It's sometimes a little bit bizarre, but I don't think us F1 fans have had it any other way, would we? And given that we're talking about the same day where Ferrari finished first, third and fourth in Le Mans, though as I see as I'm recording this, that might be up for dispute because the 50's being summoned to the stewards apparently. it just seemed odd. I mean, at the same time, the Mercedes got the grunt, and Max is able to wrestle anything to a decent finishing position. But it seemed a bit odd at the same time that Ferrari wasn't able to contend as much. It was impressive that Hulk was able to get points again, and that Ocon was able to get into points, and that Behrman wasn't too far off. Like, Hulkenberg's form this season, in the last couple of races especially, has been almightily impressive. Yeah. I don't think that the Ferrari power unit was able to have the same response as Mercs did here, which is only going to be an issue at a couple of tracks. Maybe Baku, most likely Monza. But this is what happens when you look at designing your engines. It's like when you design your cars. Do you go all round, or do you go for something that's a bit more peaky and trothy? But let's talk about the drivers' standings before we wrap up this video. Oscar Piastri leads. Unsurprisingly, Verstappen has eaten into that lead a little bit, given, second versus fourth. Those 8 points haven't done too much damage, though. It's still an advantage of 43 points to Piastri. It's not 2 full sprint weekends. It's not 2 full race weekends either. But it's growing quite a bit. It's a maximum championship score in a regular weekend for a constructor, isn't it? Lando is now 22 points behind Oscar, with Russell on 136 in 4th, McLaren 5th on 104, Hamilton is on 79 in 6th, Antonelli is on 63 in 7th, then in 8th Albon on 42 even, 9th Ocon on 22, and 10th Hajar on 21, who's just ahead by 1 point of Hulkenberg, who's on 20. And what that produces is then a debate of, at what point should we consider that Piastri has a comfortable lead? Well, it's most likely when you get to around 5 races to go and he's got a 40-point advantage. If he had this kind of advantage with 3 races left, you wouldn't necessarily call it safe, because he would have to still beat Lando at least 1 race. Or that's if that's basically if Lando was winning every single one and Piastri was second. Like, the Verstappen one is a bit more secure, but you got to remember, we're not even at the halfway point of the season now, are we? We've just done round 10. We've still got 14 rounds left to go. And in them are most of the sprints, I think. So it's not a done deal yet. This isn't like closer to 1995, where 30 years ago, if you were having this much of a lead in the championship and it was June, you'd be like, yeah, sorted. In the manufacturer's standings, however, McLaren are much more domineering. Mercedes are back up into second in the standings. They have comprehensively cleared Ferrari and made it even stronger for them now. They're on 199 to Ferrari's 183. I mean, McLaren on 374. They are 8 points behind Mercedes and Ferrari combined. They've got more than Ferrari and Red Bull combined. They got more than Mercedes and Red Bull combined. So yeah, it's a dominant year for McLaren. I think that the constructors is, well, not done and dusted, but we're nearly halfway into the season and got nearly double the points in second place. It is as good as sorted, barring any kind of reliability calamities for the rest of the season. Behind them, you've got Williams 5th on 55, Haas 6th on 28, tied with Racing Bulls. Aston Martin in 8th on 22, Sauber in 9th on 20 now, then Alpine in 10th with 11 points. Which, I think I said this before, sounds a bit more Formula E-ish, right? When you look at the cars towards the end having a dozen points or so, it feels a bit more like something you see in Formula E, not F1. Which means that whilst we do have a dominating team at the end of this rule set, the field has been brought a little bit closer together. Anyway, so those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. Let me know yours, as always, in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and joining. Hope to see you again soon. But until next time, it's bye-bye for now.